Hi, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. Today we're trying something a little bit different. I've been connecting with and meeting with a lot of great contemporary makers in muzzleloading, not just gunsmithing, but what is really piquing my interest here is the number of tools and accessories to muzzleloading being built now by, in many cases, a new generation. For me, growing up, there was always a group of old guys around that were tool and die guys or ex-machinists that had retired, that were still keeping active in muzzleloading with a garage or a home shop, building tools and equipment for muzzleloading enthusiasts. Those cabin businesses and industries still continue today, many of them with the original proprietors, but as we've seen many unfortunately pass away as they do, it's exciting to see a new generation kind of continue that tinkerer's mindset, creating kind of a small home business. So with this first installment, I'm hoping to highlight some of those new makers out there as kind of a maker spotlight for people out there making things for muzzleloading that aren't necessarily represented by maybe some of the organizations or other thoughts of what a muzzleloading maker or artist could be. So today in this installment, we have Justin Burk of JB Flintlock to talk about some of the things that he is designing, manufacturing, and printing to help muzzleloading enthusiasts get out to the range and make things a little easier.
My name's Justin Burk. I go by JB Flintlock online. I make all kinds of random muzzleloader related things. So I have 3D printer, I have CNC mill and CNC lathe. So it's my first year with the milling machine and lathe, just getting started doing a lot of simpler metal work. In terms of 3D printing, it's just all things that were necessities to me that it was just easier to make than to find. You know, for example, powder spout. Something as simple as a powder spout that fits a Swiss Schützen can. So rather than to cut a cap and make some, bondoed, epoxied lid, I just decided to model it and 3D print it. So, those are a real popular item for me for selling. But getting into, some of the metalworking stuff, I have a mix of metalworking and 3D printing in this powder dispenser. So you press, powder measure goes in and depresses the lever, feeds the powder into your measure. So it's threaded for GoX and for Swiss Schützen bottles. So, yeah, everything that I do was out of necessity. So I needed something for myself. It was very hard to find work to be done, so it was just easier to make it myself. And that's where, I've been shooting muzzleloaders for over 20 years, but really get the last 4 or 5 years getting really serious, coming here to Friendship shooting, and really enjoying it. So come with my family and we have a blast. So.
Was the spout one of the first things that you started making?
That was one of the first things I started 3D printing, yes. Okay. Yep.
How does it feel to be mixing something that's kind of old school like muzzleloading with something that's fairly modern like the 3D printing?
So I enjoy it. I think it's a good mesh between the two worlds. It's not always well received because plastic isn't known to be, period correct. Right. So it limits the market, but I think in terms of usefulness and the ability to adapt, it goes, if they had that technology back then, they would have used it for the same purpose. Right. You know what I mean?
The horn in that time period was kind of the plastic.
Yes,
so
right.
You see a lot of things made with that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just using modern stuff to make, the same basic stuff.
Right.
Yeah, get the job done.
Right. How durable of a plastic are you using? Because that's changed a lot over the years.
Correct. So I use PLA, which is a fairly easy to work with plastic, and I also use ABS. So most everything that's associated with powder, I use ABS because it has a lower coefficient to create static spark. So I just feel like it would be safer to do that. Everything else is PLA just because it's super easy to print with, and I control this is a ramrod holder, and so I had this problem of ramrods collecting in the corner.
Yeah.
So I just made a ramrod holder that sticks to the side of the safe, of my gun safe.
Okay, and it's got a magnet on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I was
super.
wondering how you were fastening it.
Yep, super strong magnets in the back, and it just holds them, put them all in a row, and I keep track of them. So it's way better than grabbing one and the whole corner falls, right? So, but I control the infill and the density of the plastic when I print it. So if it's something that's more structural, it's more dense. If it's just, powder spout, they're fairly light, and they hold up well. I've gotten good reviews back. I use it personally, so I haven't had any trouble. I kind of test them out when I print them, make sure that they're all good.
How does it feel going from kind of focusing on the shooting end of it to now kind of meshing that with business? Because you've invested in this machinery.
Right.
You need time to practice, to compete. You need time to learn and design and build. How are you balancing that?
It's a challenge to find the time to do everything. So there are a couple things that didn't make it this trip. They just weren't quite there yet. I ran short on time. So, and I would say that my normal practice sessions were either cut short or non-existent just because of the weekends spent filling orders. So, a good portion of the business is online. So I get, a fair number of orders that come through, and custom sizes, custom whatever. I don't keep a big inventory yet. It's just about cash flow at this point. So, it's easier. The machines make it so much easier to run things one at a time.
Right.
Your
development time is really the time sink, and then you can kind of set the machines to run.
Yes. Yeah. So my lathe is a turret machine, so it has the tools loaded in it, all the common tools all the time, and so it just changes through tools and runs whatever I need to. If I do something custom, like ignition for sealed ignitions, the Inconel, I did have to change the machine around for all the carbide for that, but I run as much material as I have and then switch back for aluminum or brass or whatever. So,
any exciting things on the horizon then?
There's going to be some sealed ignitions for bench guns. That's the very next thing. That's what didn't make this trip. Okay. I also have some designs for underhammer bench gun actions. I haven't cut any yet, so I want to finish a design. What I'll do is 3D print it, make sure I'm happy with how everything fits, and then I'll go to cutting it. I'll cut it out of aluminum first, make sure everything looks good, fits good, and then I'll run it in probably stainless. So,
where can people find you and your work to kind of follow along or check?
Easiest thing is my website, www.jbflintlock.com. You can also find me on YouTube at jbflintlock and Instagram at jbflintlock. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I hope that you enjoyed this. This series isn't going to be sponsored by any maker. It's nothing like that. It is just people that I'm finding that I think are doing something neat. As you know, if you've listened to the podcast or anything, I'm fascinated with the manufacturing and tinkering and building side of all of this and kind of the ingenuity that goes along with it. So I was really happy to find Justin online, and then being able to connect with him at the spring shoot at Friendship was really awesome. I picked up and paid full price one of his powder dispenser things. I think that's a really neat idea. And it's not something we see very commonly anymore. Different shops and different people make one or two here and there, but hearing about Justin's methodology on tooling up with equipment to manufacture these en masse, I think is really interesting. So we'll go through and do a review of that maybe this summer as we get out to the range and start doing some more testing. That's a really easy way to get out and kind of improve or streamline some of the ballistic testing that we do on the range. Once again, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. If you'd like to learn more about this or anything else related to muzzleloading, you can visit ilovemuzzleloading.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
I love muzzleloading.